Then I took a smidge and applied it down there.
This One's Wife. The truth about the wine sales. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. As you know, This One's Wife launched her wine, the rosé wine, just recently. It hasn't been particularly well received by those that know about these things, yet we were told that she had sold out. Not really a surprise as a consequence of the fact that she will have once again applied the scarcity approach to it. As I've mentioned previously, we don't get any actual information about how many bottles have been sold. We're just told she sold out. Therefore, it stands to reason, if you've got 6 bottles and you sell them all, you can say that you've sold out, but that's not particularly impressive with regard to a fledgling business. It's also been interesting. For nearly 2 weeks now, This One's Wife has been rather quiet and instead has just spent her time pumping out nonsense on her As Ever Instagram account, showing people who have purportedly purchased her products some of the anemic-looking crepes, those blasted flour sprinkles getting everywhere, and of course repeated shots of people holding up glasses and bottles of wine that they have apparently purchased from her. And whilst, as you know, This One's Wife utilises social media for the pursuit of the prime aims, a recent revelation appears to have cast more light on why This One's Wife has been so heavily pointing out that people have been, or apparently have been, purchasing the wine. According to Martin Robinson of the Daily Mail, another nail in the coffin for Prince Harry and This One's Wife's $100 million Netflix deal was that her Napa Valley wine isn't selling and there is no great demand, an insider at the streaming giant has claimed. You'll recall that This One's Wife announced that Netflix was her partner and that it was her partner within the business of As Ever, which caused people to think, okay, so you're creating With Love Meghan and the idea is that you're going to cross-sell the things that appear in your show so that people can purchase them online and in these much mythically vaunted stores that were going to appear, which don't look like they are now going to appear at all, that there's not actually going to be a physical shop from which you can purchase As Ever products. You'll recall that when she was taking a piss in the garden and announced As Ever, she was rather smug about the fact that she was partnering with Netflix, but Netflix didn't appear to pump much money into it at all, if any. And they certainly didn't, as I've explained in parts passim, do much by way of promotion of it. But it was clear that they wanted to ensure that there was a link between the two. And as I've pointed out in the past, the timing of the show, vis-a-vis the launch of As Ever, was cack-handed and haphazard. They got different names. There didn't appear to be any cross-selling whatsoever from the episodes, or at least the 2 that I could endure. And it really was an absolute clusterfuck in terms of a launch of something that was meant to be a coordinated and consolidated approach. It's little wonder, therefore, that Netflix were pissed off with it. And it's now being revealed that the actual sales of her wine is such that it isn't selling. So for all that This One's Wife tells us that it's sold out, the insider, who has less skin in the game than This One's Wife has, claims it's not selling. The report also explains that This One's Wife and Harry have also fallen out of favour with A-listers. Well, do bear shit in the woods, huh? Especially in relation to This One's Wife. No one in Hollywood rates them anymore or wants to be around them, especially her, the insider said. People are bored with them. Netflix, who have been her As Ever brand's business partner, is believed to have declined to renew the couple's $100 million 5-year deal in September after their 2 most recent shows flopped. The Duchess of Sussex has had everything going for her, but the viewing figures for With Love Meghan have still been dismal and there will be no more shows made, one insider has said. This One's Wife's lifestyle show failed to break into Netflix top 300 programs for the first half of 2025. Netflix has been working with This One's Wife to launch and promote her products, some of which have been made by their preferred suppliers, including her jam. Mail Online's insider at the streaming giant has said that This One's Wife's rosé, which promises to capture the essence of sun-drenched outdoor moments, has not been a huge success, and this was another nail in the coffin for the $100 million broadcast deal. The wine isn't selling, they said. There's no great demand whatsoever. Commenting on As Ever's claim the wine sold out in an hour, the source added, "It's a small batch," meaning it was only ever produced in a small quantity. Netflix believes the launch has shown that there isn't a demand for her wine from a mass market point of view, and this means a bigger and more lucrative supermarket or department store deal is unlikely, the source claimed. Now, pausing there. As we all knew, This One's Wife would have only have had a small batch available for the purposes of making it sell out, so she can boast about that. As ever, with This One's Wife, it's disingenuous because people immediately ask, yeah, well, we know that you engage in skullduggery and chicanery. You probably only had 60 bottles of it, so to claim that it's sold out is hardly a triumph. But given what Netflix are saying about it, they must have, as part of the deal, have access to the data with regard to not the actual sales, because they will have said there was only 60 or 300 bottles, so we're not looking at the sales. What we were interested in was the level of demand of people coming to the website, looking at the wine, trying to buy the wine. They've evidently looked at the key performance indicators, the appropriate data, and this has told them the demand simply isn't there, resulting in them making the observation that they have. This has enabled them to turn around and say it wasn't selling in the sense of there wasn't the level of interest in it that you would think. There wasn't the demand for it. People just didn't want to get involved in purchasing this wine because they don't like her, she's unpopular, etc. And therefore, that demonstrates the truth about the wine sales. That, yes, it probably did sell out, although, of course, This One's Wife might have been lying about that, but let's give her the benefit of the doubt. And that it did sell out, but it was, as everybody knew, a limited batch. But this information that's provided from Netflix demonstrates how there isn't this interest in her. The fact that she, through her unpopularity and cack-handed method of launching the product, has resulted in most people not being interested in buying overpriced wine when there are much better, less expensive wines that they can buy from a place or somebody that they actually like rather than they resent. The data doesn't lie. The data demonstrates there isn't the demand, and that was another reason why Netflix thought, yeah, we're pulling the plug on this, rolling the corpse onto a gurney and taking it somewhere less embarrassing. It also is probably what's behind This One's Wife repeatedly showing that people have purchased the wine, because this is an act of defiance on her part. Undoubtedly, sometime prior to the world knowing about the non-renewal of the deal, This One's Wife will have been told that they weren't renewing, and one suspects that in order to protect their backsides with regard to potential litigation, knowing what This One's Wife is like, they presented the data to explain the sound basis on which they've reached the decision not to renew. And as part of that, they will probably have told her, although you sold out the wine, it was a limited batch, the data shows there wasn't a demand for it, there weren't the level of inquiries that we would have expected, and that's another reason why we're not going to renew. This, of course, infuriates This One's Wife because it's a criticism and it's challenge fuel. Her response, she goes to Instagram like a toddler and tantrums over there by posting lots and lots of pictures of people with the wine, as if to say to Netflix, fuck you, lots of people did want the wine, demonstrating, of course, her simplistic approach to business, which is no surprise whatsoever, and the tantrum-like response of this mid-range type A narcissist. The truth about the wine sales has been writ large by Netflix demonstrating there simply wasn't the demand. Not really a surprise, but useful to have it confirmed nevertheless. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.